Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Morning all. In this occasion, we are going to presentation about our material is material to develop speaking and writing skill. For the first, materials to develop speaking skill. The importance of speaking skill seems to be further underlined by prevalence in many areas of the world of communicative language teaching, a methodology which is priorities in speaking. So, speaking skill is occupy a curious position in contemporary ELT. The importance of speaking skills appears obvious. The global spread of English along with improved communication system provide economic, political, academic, and social reason for learning to speak English. Teaching a methodology which is priority speaking. However, despite the apparent priority accorded to speaking skill by contemporary methodologies, speaking skill have, until relatively recently, been under analysis in ELT, with the result that speaking skills syllabus in ELT materials often amount to no more than a list of speaking activities, for example, role play or information gap. The situation with regard to speaking skill is all the more surprising given that considerable research into speaking skill has been conducted outside ELT circles. Jadi, pada bahasa Indonesianya, keterampilan dalam skill dalam bahasa Inggris yang pertama itu adalah berbicara. Most of people, if anyone asks, can you speak English? Seperti itu. Tapi pada kenyataannya, pada keterampilan yang diberikan, silabus yang diberikan oleh guru kepada murid itu masih kurang. Masih sedikit kegiatan di dalam pembelajaran bahasa Inggris yang tidak melibatkan speaking itu sendiri. Hal ini sangat berbanding terbalik dengan keadaan sebenarnya dan hal yang terjadi di lapangan yang sesungguhnya. Next is the nature of the speaking skill. In order to develop a principled approach to materials for speaking skills, we need an understanding of what skill entails. It is common misconception, for example, that if learners are using English words and sentences in the classroom, then they are developing speaking skill, even if they are only chanting grammar drills or reciting lists of vocabulary. To understand why this is a misconception, we need to consider the complexity of the speaking skill, as described, for example, by Burns and Hill in this PowerPoint. Speaking is a complex mental process combining various cognitive skills, virtually simultaneously, and drawing on working memory of words and concepts while self-monitoring. Speaking is a complex mental process because, as Lefeld points out, it involves four separate sub-processes. There are conceptualization, formulation, articulation, and self-monitoring. For the first, conceptualization involves generating the content the speaker wishes to express. For the second, formulation entails selecting the language to express the content, generate and organize it according to the norms of particular genre. And then for the third, articulation is the physical production of the sounds required to encode the message. And while all this is going on, the speaker has to self-monitor themselves the process to ensure that she or he is producing the intent message.
Okay, the next material will be explained by myself, Siti Sophia, about material to develop writing skill. Here, there is the nature of the writing skill. For the first one is mechanical aspects. Mechanical aspects of the writing skill include the ability to form letter or graphology, to spell and to punctuate. It is easy to underestimate the challenge of graphology unless you have learned to use a different script yourself. Second one is language resource. Learners need to have good enough control of grammar and lexis to communicate clearly and a wide enough repertoire to be able to adopt the appropriate style for a given text. And for the next is organizational skills. In the organizational skills, there is coherence and cohesion. For coherence, writing generally involves the product of a text, whether it is a 2-line email or 10,000 word essay. And we generally expect a text to be coherent, to have a logical flow of ideas, clearly expressed and all relevant to the topic of the text. And then cohesion. Learners need to have not only a logical flow of ideas but also the ability to link clause and sentence locally through the use, for example, of discourse markers, pronouns, and synonyms to ensure that they have a cohesion text. The next is general knowledge. Writers need to know the audience they are writing for, the expectation of the audience, and the linguistic and structural norms of the genre they are writing in. This chapter, for example, needs to be written for an informed audience in an academic style or through not necessarily a happy academic style. It also needs to be divided into clearly marked sections with subheading and to be appropriately referenced. That at least it was we are aiming to achieve. Okay, for the last is process knowledge. Learners need to be aware of strategies for generating the ideas, writing drafts, editing, and revision. For example, involve taking notes from a range of sources, organizing the notes to form a section of the chapter, composing a number of drafts, and making revision in response to comment by co-author and editors. And then the next material is about from methodology to the materials. Here there is stimulus materials, scaffolding text, and harnessing technology. Highline 2013 urges that the main purpose of stimulus material is to provide schemas of content and a reason for communicating, stimulating creativity, planning, and engagement with others. We need to emphasize first that the text can be a stimulus for writing either as a model or not. That is, it can serve as a stimulus for ideas and a basis for discussion of the topic at the pre-writing stage. Here, Highland 2013 also notes that scaffolding texts provide opportunities for discussion, guided writing, analysis, and manipulation of silent structure and vocabulary. A better of texts which have become popular through CLT can be turned to the serve of scaffolding writing. For the first is there is reordering, matching, completion, deletion, substitution, and then the last is transformation. For the next is harness technology. As long ago, at 2001, Reid urged that the use of technology in English second language writing course may be the foremost curricular change today. At the most basic level, the internet offers access to a massive supply of text. Okay, the next material is about writing syllabus. Here, Chen and Su refer to See the Ways 2006. The first one is recount, and then narrative, and then explanation, and then information, and then procedure, and then discussion, and the last is exposition. And then there is two further organizational possibilities for a writing syllabus are noted by HG 2005. The first is the syllabus could be organized around broad style of writing, personal writing, study writing, public writing, complaints, inquiries, creative writing, social writing, and institutional writing. And then for the second is the syllabus could be organized according to functions, description, narration, argument, review, and summary. Okay, the last material for me is about further reading one. Thornbury provide a number of criteria for speaking activities 2005. These criteria are presented below with extract from his explanation of each one. For the first one is productivity. A speaking activity needs to be maximally language productive in order to provide the best condition for autonomous language use. The second one is purposefulness. Often language productivity can be increased by making sure that the speaking activity has a clear outcome, especially one which requires the learners to work together to achieve one purpose. And then the third is interactivity. Activities should require learners to take into account the effect they are having on their audience. If not, they can hardly be said to be good preparation for real language use. And then for the fourth is challenge. The task should stretch the learners so that they are forced to draw on their available communication research to achieve the outcome. And then the fifth is safety. While a learner should be challenged, they also need to feel confident that when meeting this challenge and attempting autonomous language use, they can do so without too much risk. And for the last is authenticity. Speaking tasks should have most relation to real-life language use. If not, they are poor preparation for autonomy. Okay, the next material will be explained by my friend. The time is yours.
Further reading 2. Among the views expressed were that teachers should do the following: 1. Ensure that generic structures are not considered perspective, but allow for variations due to cultural and ideological factors. 2. Contextualize a text before its presentation by discussion of purpose, audience, institutional beliefs, values, and subsequently ensure that all discussion of linguistic features takes place in the context of their function in the text. 3. Immerse students in a wide variety of tasks within a particular genre. 4. Ensure that the genre examples selected for teaching or learning purposes are authentic and suitable for learners. 5. Adopt a lesson procedure which facilitates rather than inhibits interaction, since this is a powerful aid to learning. 6. Use a genre approach in conjunction with other methods. Specifically mentioned was the
desirability of combining genre and process approaches. Conclusion: the difference between speaking as a grammar or vocabulary exercise and speaking as a skill development and writing material is based on an analysis of what writing skills involve. Then the interactive and interpersonal attention that usually accompanies speaking has an effect on spoken language. So, it is different from written language, which involves mechanical aspects, language resource, organizational skills, genre knowledge, and knowledge processes. Syllabus complexity. Syllabus exclusive. Syllabus feature spoken language like ellipses, discourse markers, and discourse type syllabus like conversation, service meeting, presentation. Writing syllabus can be based on the genre and or function of the text and or certain grammar and lexis that are useful for writing certain types of texts. Material writers need to do more than just provide activities that get learners thinking. They need to provide activities that develop language and specific skills for speaking. The complexity of the writing can take advantage of a number of online sources to support their writing.
That's all from us. Thanks for watching this video. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.